Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. How are you? Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. Those are available at betterwater.com. You can listen to the show in a variety of ways on the FM dial, on the iHeartRadio app, on the TuneIn app, on the 99.7 WTN app. You can also watch the show. We are live. Hello, how are you? On Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Hit like, hit subscribe, repost, and share the show with your friends. It will definitely help me get my kids into summer camp, and that's coming up quick. We're running out of time on that one. I'm going to choose a new bit soon. We'll see what we can come up with. We can hold something else over the kids' heads after summer camp season, right?
No new clothes for school.
There you go. Yeah, you want to go school shopping?
Yeah, it's all hand-me-downs from Great Aunt Rhonda or something. I don't know.
Did you listen to the cross that we had with Dan on the way in?
I heard it when I was working in the back a little bit, but nothing. I wasn't paying attention too much.
Do you know any Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses?
I grew up with some down the road from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they ever ask you to join?
No.
Oh. That hurts, doesn't it?
This is not how I wanted to start my morning.
He's got a beard too, you know.
That's true. Is it?
Yeah.
Did you know these Mormons before you had facial hair?
Yeah. I was in high school, or I was in middle school and high school.
And they still didn't ask you to join?
Still didn't ask me.
Mm.
I went to their birthday parties. What if I wanted my own planet? Come on.
Did you know about the magic underpants?
I did know about the magic underpants.
Okay.
How come everybody knew about that and I didn't? Now I feel so in the dark.
It's probably for the best, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
You're not missing out on a ton.
Okay.
All right. Well, shout out to Mason for not making me feel as alone as the the gang did on Dan's show.
Yeah. Call Chris out for calling me out in the morning. I was having a good morning, man.
Yeah, they didn't want you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't satisfactory.
Yeah, but you know what? God wants them.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't say me.
All right. President Trump yesterday discussing tariffs in the White House. He said he wants to change the fabric of our country. What we're seeing happen in real time is the reset of global economic trade. Donald Trump is the only man in my lifetime that has had the spine to do this. You want to give me some audio, Mason, please? Thank you, sir.
Nobody but me would do this. You know, it would be nice to serve, a nice, easy term. But we have an opportunity to change the fabric of our country. We have an opportunity to reset the table on trade. We lose billions of dollars. We lose close to $2 trillion a year on trade. We lose $1 trillion a year to China. $1 trillion. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars a year on trade to China. China.
That's right.
China.
Yep.
China.
Yep.
China.
Yeah, and then, did you hear that was a good one in there on that clip? He said it was like more of an angry China.
Yeah, that was a good one.
We got to add it to the stack.
Yeah, I'll get cutting.
China.
We lose hundreds of billions in trade to none other than China.
China.
And President Trump wants to reset the playing field. He wants to even it out. China is absolutely the worst offender here. Make no mistake about it.
We lose hundreds of billions of dollars overall, probably close to $2 trillion. Why would we do that? Number one, why would we do that? And then you have to say, is it sustainable? Then you hear about all of the people that say, well, deficits. If we have a deficit with the country, or if the country has a big surplus with us, like China has a massive surplus that they take and they spend on their military. Well, we don't want that. I don't want them to take $500-600 billion a year and spend it on their military.
I mean, that
I
makes
don't want them
sense.
spending money on their military. And I shouldn't have to spend money. We shouldn't have to spend it either. Because, you know, hopefully, and I said this to President Xi, hopefully it's money that we're never going to use. In other words, because we're not going to use those incredible weapons that we have and that they have. We don't want that. So it's going to be very interesting. It's the only chance our country will have to reset the table.
It's going to be very interesting. The rhetoric towards China definitely seems to be a bit tougher than it has been in recent days from the president yesterday while he was sitting in the White House with Benjamin Netanyahu. he definitely seems to be a bit more irritated at China. And he lays out the fact that, and I tend to agree, when are we going to have another chance like this? When? The president currently has an overwhelming mandate from the American public. Overwhelming. Every swing state won the popular vote. People knew that he was going to do tariffs. He campaigned on tariffs. We voted for this. We voted for this. And when are we going to have another chance like this again? If President Trump fails, we may never have another chance like this again. Ever. Period. And there are two groups. There's a group in Washington that seems just fine walking the line with President Trump and saying, let's go for it. And then there's another group that just seems like they are losing their ever-loving mind. One group is obviously the Democrats. One group is the Republican. But in the Republicans, there are some wait-and-see type guys, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with Senator John Kennedy saying, listen, if the tariffs work, great. If they don't, we recalibrate. That's a fine approach to take. But there are other Republicans who are just downright working with the Democrats against Donald Trump. And by other Republicans, I mean Grassley, Moran, Murkowski, McConnell, Tillis, Young, and Collins. We have a Senate bill that is going through that is being aimed at vetoing, at curbing the tariff power for Donald Trump. The Trump administration is threatening to veto that bill. They're calling it a bipartisan Senate bill to give Congress the ability to review new tariffs, protecting Donald Trump's claim of unfettered power in the early stages of a trade war that is sinking financial markets. It doesn't seem to be sinking financial markets any longer. What you needed was some patience. Politico didn't have any before they put out this hit piece as they're writing about this bipartisan Senate bill. Trump's veto threat comes as a handful of Senate Republicans have signed onto a bill from Senators Maria Cantwell, Democrat out of Washington, and Chuck Grassley, Republican out of Iowa, that would require the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of issuing any new tariffs, and that Congress would have to explicitly approve any tariffs within 60 days. Do you understand that this would kneecap the president's negotiating power, right? Like, if you had to wait 60 days for written approval to get your permission slip signed by Congress, well, then you wouldn't see what we've seen in the past 2 days, where some reports are saying up to 70 countries have entered negotiations with the United States on trade. If we had to wait 60 days, there wouldn't be that sense of urgency for other countries to come to the table. Trump is threatening to veto this bill. The bill would also allow Congress to end any tariff at any time. And Republicans are getting behind this. Republicans, namely Grassley, Moran, Murkowski, McConnell, Tillis, Young, and Collins. With friends like these. The White House said in a statement of administration policy sent to congressional offices Monday, arguing that the bill would severely constrain Trump's tariff powers and eliminates Trump's ability to have leverage over foreign countries. In the statement, they say if passed, the bill would dangerously hamper the president's authority and duty to determine our foreign policy and protect our national security. That was in a statement from the White House reviewed by Politico, warning that if the bill makes it to Trump's desk, he would veto the bill. Good. Veto it. Kill that bill as quickly as you possibly can. You have the new Republican Party still battling the old Republican Party. Do you notice that? We see that in so many different angles with the neocons and the warmongering, and we got to bomb Iran, and then you see the new Republicans that are, we voted for Trump to bring peace, not more forever wars. You see that with the spending stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and you're seeing it with foreign policy. Scott Jennings on CNN last night said, you got to get used to this. You have to deal with it. This is the new DNA of the Republican Party. There are still some holdovers from that neocon class, but for the most part, you're looking at the new Republican Party.
This is new DNA for the Republican Party. That's why you hear Republicans and business guys who've basically been Republicans struggling with what to do, because the DNA of the party, for as long as any of us have been around, has been tariffs are bad, taxes should be low, free markets, et cetera, et
And
cetera.
like America's done pretty well.
So well, but
Right.
here's the flip side of that. Trump shows up with different advisors and different thoughts about asking questions. How well have we done if you're a working class, person, and you've seen your job shipped overseas,
Amen.
and you don't have the same kind of opportunities that perhaps you thought you were going to see? How
Facts.
well have certain segments of our society done?
Just by simply asking that question is one of the ways that the Republicans have become the party of the working class, right? You understand that. The Democrats have completely ignored the working class. Trump and his administration are saying, what have you done for the working class? The answer has been a resounding nothing, for the record.
Is wealth inequality, because of some of these, trade ideas over the years that have just seen jobs go away from people who previously could get jobs and live a comfortable middle-class lifestyle. So accepting this new DNA is going to be hard for some. You mentioned Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and others. They've been out there. Some are reluctantly accepting it, like John Kennedy. Others are running with it hard. How the party continues to accept that will probably be closely related to whether or not it works, over the 6 to 9 months. That's why I thought Kennedy was being honest. If it works, it'll be great, and if it doesn't, we'll recalibrate.
I mean, that's the reasonable approach to take, right? Like that's the most reasonable. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we recalibrate. I got to tell you though, I think that this is going to work, and maybe I'm looking through this with rose-colored glasses, and feel free to tell me if I am. 615-737-9986. But when you see 50, 60, 70 countries coming to the table since these tariffs have been announced, I mean, that's massive. It's massive. The market looks like it's rebounding or recovering today. So things are going to be fine. Things are going to be fine. You just have to take a deep breath. But the biggest issue is China. Trump issued an ultimatum to China yesterday. We had a retaliatory tariff being placed by China. Trump responding on Truth Social, saying you remove those 34% retaliatory tariffs, or you're going to face 50% plus tariffs from the United States, and all talks with China on this issue would be terminated. Negotiations with other countries are taking place. China needs to play some ball, and we're going to see what happens. The Chinese Commerce Ministry, they issued a statement, and their statement was, if the U.S. side is bent on having its own way, Chinese side will follow it to the end. We also see yesterday some fears that China was dumping U.S. treasuries on purpose to mess with United States interest rates. The thought process being China is dumping these treasuries because Trump wants to lower interest rates. So you dump these treasuries and it pushes the interest rates higher. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I do think China is a bit pissed off currently, and that's fine. Trump issued a new statement to China and South Korea this morning on Truth Social in a post saying, I just had a great call with the acting president of South Korea. We talked about their tremendous and unsustainable surplus tariffs, shipbuilding, large-scale purchasing of U.S. LNG, their joint venture in an Alaska pipeline, and payment for the big military protection we provide to South Korea. This is a huge part of it with so many of these nations is what we do for them militarily, South Korea included, and payment for the big-time military protection we provide to South Korea. They began these military payments during my first term, billions of dollars. But Sleepy Joe Biden, for reasons unknown, terminated the deal. That was a shocker to all. In any event, we have the confines and probability of a great deal for both countries. Their top team is on a plane heading to the U.S., and things are looking good. We are likewise dealing with many other countries, all of whom want to make a deal with the United States. Like with South Korea, we're bringing up other subjects that are not covered by trade and tariffs and getting them negotiated also. One-stop shopping is a beautiful and efficient process. China also wants to make a deal badly, but they don't know how to get it started. We are waiting for their call. It will happen. God bless the USA. So that's kind of where we're at currently today. It does seem like we're in a wait-and-see approach when it comes to China, but we have a lot more countries coming to the table than just China. We'll talk about it more. I know. China. Do we have one more in rotation?
China.
There it is. We'll be back with more in a minute. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Up ahead here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the Army hires back some soldiers who were dismissed by the Biden administration. And one of the highest-ranking women in the military has been fired by President Trump. We've got those stories coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If it's the woman I think that I think you're talking about,
Yeah.
I'm going to go on record before the newscast and say, good. Is that okay to do?
Yeah. I figured you might be on that side of the equation.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to your newscast coming up. That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. Mason Fleming is producing. Mason on the text line, 5284. He commiserates with you not being invited in by your Mormon friends.
Thank you.
He said, hang on. I grew up with a Mormon family. I was only invited for a baptism celebration, not for Mass. Why? Was I not good enough to be saved?
We weren't good enough to hear the message.
I don't get it.
The good message of John Smith.
If you missed it earlier, during the Cross with Dan, we were talking about the MS-13 gang member had been busted in a Northern Virginia town.
Okay.
Quiet town.
Yeah.
And Daily Mail caught up with some Mormon kids who were in the town evangelizing. And they didn't say anything of note. They was like, wow, that's really weird. Sure is spooky having an MS-13 gang member around.
Oh, shucks.
Gee whiz. That was dicey, wasn't it? And,
sure dodged a bullet.
And I didn't think much of the story, but I did start going back, and I thought to myself, and I've thought this before. I don't know why. These are the things that keep me up at night. Like when you're in Phoenix, Arizona, and I've spent a chunk of time out there because of what I do with Turning Point USA,
really?
And they're on every street corner.
I believe it.
And I'm just like, I find myself not getting the advances. And I just feel like...
Unattractive.
I feel like I should, like, why wouldn't you want me to join?
Yeah. Why don't you want to save me?
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I'd be good at this kind of stuff. I wouldn't join. But I at least
you
want
feel like
the
you have
offer. Like, you know what I mean?
Or to be considered.
Yeah, like...
Big old FOMO.
Yeah, just like... I don't know. It's just painful. Like, what did I do? What did I do that was so wrong?
It's what you didn't do.
So you said earlier that it was about the beard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to tell you, Joan, 1993 on the text line said that's BS. That's Bravo Sierra.
Uh-oh.
She said, I dated a Mormon, and he had a full beard.
Oh.
Interesting.
He even held some kind of position in their church.
Now, see, they make exceptions. Hold on.
Well, why wouldn't they make an exception for me? That's what I want to know.
You're a newbie, man.
It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Nashville Electric crews restoring power still to almost all of the customers knocked offline by storms last week. Now, it's under 200 customers with no power. Compared to the peak outages at more than 60,000, crews are still working to replace broken utility poles. Meantime, a Tennessee lineman died while working in the storms last week. His name is Chance Carlton, and he had worked with Carroll County Electric Department. He died in a car crash while on the job Thursday morning. The Army has reenlisted more than 23 soldiers who were discharged for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine, complying with an order from President Trump that they be rehired and given back pay. Now, the Marine Corps, Air Force, Army, and Navy have all set up new websites to provide information for service members looking to reenlist and reaching out to them, too, via email, letters, phone calls to anybody who's been discharged. Navy Vice Admiral Shoshana Chatfield, fired by the Trump administration. Chatfield had posted comments on LinkedIn in support of a diversity summit and gave supportive speeches at a Women's Equality Day, saying our diversity is our strength. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has repeatedly said that the U.S. military would purge DEI and return to prioritizing lethality in the military. Well, the stock market is surging today after Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent told ABC News that more than 60 countries have signaled that they want to deal with the Trump administration over tariffs. Many of the deals, he said, could come to fruition quickly. So we have the Dow Jones Industrials right now plus 1346. The NASDAQ up 627 points, and the S&P is gaining 184. That is the latest news. We've got weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 36 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. The headline on CNN Business, U.S. stocks off to major bounce back from their tariff doom spiral. Oh, it's a major bounce back? So you're telling me all I had to do was be patient?
What?
Weird. What did we say yesterday? I think it was along the lines of be patient.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Sounds about right. Be patient. Be patient. The press, they're not patient when it comes to President Trump. They're giving him all these questions yesterday. with his sit down in the Oval Office with Netanyahu, and they're saying, "Don't you think you're going to drive our allies and our enemies into the arms of China with your tariffs and your trade war? You're going to drive them right to China."
How do you ensure, Mr. President, that these tariffs don't drive U.S. trading partners into the hands of the Chinese? That they
I'm not worried about it. If they want to be in the hands of the U.S., they don't want to be in the hands of the Chinese. And the Chinese have turned out to be really not very good at that. People that are with us, they're with us. But we cannot be taken advantage of any longer. I used to watch these deals for years. I've been talking about it for years. I've been talking about it for 35 years, how our country is being ripped off.
Fact check true on that. I mean, just a quick search of Twitter, and I could have played them for you, but I just was like, I feel like you've probably already seen them. Trump in 88, 92, 93, 94, saying we're getting ripped off. We're getting ripped off by all of these nations. He's been saying it for a very long time.
I mean, 30 years ago it was Japan.
Yep.
Then it was something else. Then it was another group. Then it was China. China's doing the best job of it, frankly. And it's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Is this going to drive our trading partners into the hands of the Chinese? It's not going to happen. It's not happening. Don't worry. Don't panic. Don't stress. But what is going to happen is we're going to see a lot more manufacturing here in America. We're going to see a lot more jobs brought back to America. And we're seeing CEOs all over the place that are actually very, very excited about the prospects of doing business in America once again. We saw yesterday Marlin Steele's CEO going on the record saying, we are hiring a lot of people now.
We absolutely have had a couple people anxious about the stock market. But again, our goal is that we're going to sell millions more dollars, so we have to hire many more people. If we do that, we're going to hire them at very good jobs, with very good pay, wonderful benefits with the 401k match. True, there's some companies that have been buying T-shirts from Vietnam and China, and they're going to have to pay a couple more bucks for a T-shirt. And then the American consumer is going to have to pay more for a T-shirt. That's obviously not pleasant for those American consumers. But I think there's going to be an overwhelming surge of hiring in America as things level out, as American factories ramp up and people have to hire talent, buy machines. We've invested money in buying new machines because we're so enthusiastic, so optimistic about the future. That's going to start happening throughout the nation, and people are going to be leaning into the future. This is a very exciting time for the American manufacturing worker. We're going to be able to pull people from poverty into the middle class that used to not have an avenue. They had no shot at getting into the middle class. We're going to be able to offer them a shot.
I mean, that's the CEO of Marlin Steel, and you can hear the excitement in his voice. You can hear it. We're going to give people a real shot to get into the middle class now. We're going to be hiring a lot more people, good paying jobs, 401k matching. Is this not what we were looking for? Moments ago, at the beginning of the show, I played this clip from Trump saying that this could be our only chance to do this. This is what the people voted for. It's time to stop getting ripped off. It's time to hire and buy American. We've been saying it for years. It's time to start doing it. Now, are you going to pay a couple more dollars for a T-shirt made in Vietnam or China? Possibly. Is that okay? Yeah, I think so in the grand scheme of things. I always go back to, watching TV as a kid, and you see Married with Children, and old Al Bundy managed a shoe store and somehow was able to afford a home and 2 cars. Could you imagine that happening today in America? No, and it's because we have just lost the plot. We've lost the narrative for the middle class. We don't look out for the middle class in this country anymore. President Trump is trying to do that. And then when you look at how we've been ripped off, it's insane. It's just, it will make your blood boil. U.S. Trade Representative on X posted a very, very long thread that Elon Musk retweeted, and I thought it was really good to point out some of the highlights. They dropped this thread naming and shaming the top global offenders making life harder for American workers. Are you ready for this? Nigeria bans 25 U.S. imports outright, including beef, medicine, juice, even spirits. They say it's like a shopping list of no thanks, America. Kenya has a corn tax of 50%, and it comes with a side of impossible paperwork. That's a $50 million market fenced off with bureaucratic barbed wire. This is from U.S. Trade Representative. South America's illegal loggers and miners are beating U.S. businesses by ignoring laws. Somehow the tree thieves and gold diggers are winning the market share. The EU, they have new climate rules, and it sounds green, but it actually costs us a lot of money. It impacts $13.3 billion in exports. They say it's a carbon tax dressed up as virtue, but it's hitting American steel, beef, and cocoa straight in the wallet. Japan, just for the record, they're coming to the table. They're negotiating, and Trump has been very high on Japan. But Japan has seafood taxes and quotas that they say are so tangled a fish can't even navigate them. U.S. fishers lose $189 million a year while sushi stays confusingly expensive. This is from U.S. Trade Representative. Angola is slapping new rules on meat imports in 2025. So U.S. farmers are going to lose access to a $136 million market. India and Thailand burn our clean-burning ethanol like it's toxic waste. Opening their markets could bring in $414 million a year, but they haven't issued a single permit since 2005. It's just red tape. And then China sells 100,000 made in China American flags every month. Every month in the United States, 100,000 made in China American flags are sold. Our own flag gets outsourced. $2 million lost for U.S. makers, and we lose jobs in the process. This stuff has to be remedied. You know, Trump said, "Hey, we're going to take the medicine. It might hurt a little bit, but we got to take the medicine. We have to. This is our only chance at this." Peter Navarro yesterday, he's on Fox News. He's been getting into a bit of a riff with Elon Musk, and Navarro says it's because Musk is a car guy and he wants the cheap parts. It's probably pretty close to the truth, to be honest with you. Peter Navarro, though, saying yesterday, this is yesterday, mind you, talking about the stock market, don't panic. And then you look at the rebound of the stock market so far today, and you're like, oh, yeah, Peter Navarro was right. Don't panic.
When do you think the market might turn around?
It's finding a bottom now. But here's the thing. It's going to shift over, and it's going to be companies in the S&P 500 who are the first to produce here. Those are the ones going to lead the recovery, and it's going to happen. Dow 50,000, I guarantee that, and I guarantee no recession, okay? Why? Because when we pass the biggest, broadest tax cut in history within a matter of months, that's going to be a great stimulus. There's not going to be any inflation. We've already had a significant drop, a huge drop in oil prices, Laura. That's like a point off the CPI. We're going to have lower yields of mortgage.
All right.
Oil prices, again, nobody in the media is talking about this. No one. Crude oil going below $60 a barrel for the first time in 4 years, just a couple of days ago. Absolutely massive. That is going to ripple through the economy so fast. So fast. Again, this is probably why mainstream media networks aren't touching it with a 10-foot pole. They don't even want to acknowledge the crude oil prices. But the market needs a reset. The market was overvalued, and we're seeing it bounce back today. But the market's been volatile. I mean, you saw what happened yesterday, right? They said that there was going to be a 90-day pause on tariffs for everyone except for China, and the market was like, "Yeah," and they started rallying, and then they were like, "No, that's completely fake news. It's completely fake news," and the market tanked. There's been some finger pointing on that fake news because CNBC ran with the story, and then they had egg on their face. So CNBC then goes to the Wall Street Journal and says, "No, we aired unconfirmed information, and it was, you know, whose fault it was. It was X's fault." Wall Street Journal has it like this. CNBC said it aired unconfirmed information on Monday morning when it reported the Trump administration was considering a 90-day pause on tariffs. The information, which appeared on CNBC's News Chiron, was also amplified by several other outlets, including Reuters. The S&P briefly surged, then fell back to earth within minutes. As we were chasing the news of the market moves in real time, we aired unconfirmed information in a banner. Our reporters quickly made a correction on air. A Reuters spokeswoman said Reuters, drawing from a headline on CNBC, published a story on April 7th saying the White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett had said that President Trump was considering a 90-day tariff pause on all countries except China. The White House denied the report. Reuters has withdrawn the incorrect report and regrets its errors. They're all finger-pointing. They ran with fake news. They got busted. That's where we're at. A lot of countries coming to the table, though. The EU said, hey, we would do a 0-for-0 offer on tariffs. And President Trump said, that's really not going to cut it. That's actually not enough at all.
Offered 0-for-0 tariffs on cars and industrial goods. Is that not enough?
Well, the EU, no, it's not. The EU has been very tough over the years. I always say it was formed to really do damage to the United States in trade. That's the reason it was formed. It was formed with all of the countries from Europe, I guess most of them, not all of them, but most of them. And they formed together to create a little bit of a monopoly situation, to create a unified force against the United States for trade. So they have NATO, which is largely the same countries, and they took advantage of us dollar-wise and militarily until I got there. I was able to get $600 billion from NATO, where they paid NATO because most of these nations weren't even paying. We were paying for NATO, so we're paying them to guard them militarily, and they're screwing us on trade. So,
with friends like these, who needs enemies? And they did. They offered 0-for-0. Yesterday, the head of the EU, von der Leyen, she got up behind a podium and said, hey, we'll do 0-for-0. We're ready to negotiate with the U.S.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0-for-0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners.
And Trump said, yeah, it's not going to cut it. Because not only do we lose in trade with you guys, but we also protect you militarily. You got to step up. That is not what we're looking for.
So that's not a good combination. So now it's really turned around. It's the opposite. And the European Union's been very bad to us. They don't take our cars, like Japan in that sense. They don't take our agricultural product. They don't take anything practically. And yet they send millions of cars in a year, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, BMWs. They're sending millions and millions of cars into the U.S., but we don't have a car that's been sold to the European Union or other places, but let's go for the European Union. And it's not going to be that way. It's got to be fair and reciprocal. It's got to be fair. It's not fair. We have a deficit with the European Union of $350 billion. And it's going to disappear fast. And one of the reasons and one of the ways that can disappear easily and quickly is they're going to have to buy our energy from us because they need it. They're going to have to buy it from us.
So there you go. 0-for-0 tariffs is what the EU offered on industrial products. Trump says, no, you're going to need to do quite a bit more than that. There are other countries coming to the table, and Scott Bessent was talking about this yesterday. 50, 60, maybe 70 countries have reached out to the White House already to negotiate on tariffs. This is exactly what the president was looking for. This was a starting point. Negotiations from here.
I haven't seen anything from them, but Larry, I can tell you that there are 50, 60, maybe almost 70 countries now who have approached us. So it's going to be a busy April, May, maybe into June. And Japan is a very important military ally. They're a very important economic ally. And the U.S. has a lot of history with them. So I would expect that Japan's going to get priority just because they came forward very quickly, but it's going to be very busy. And if President Trump, again, gave himself maximum negotiating leverage, and just when he achieved the maximum leverage, he's willing to start talking.
President Trump received maximum negotiation leverage. Underline it, put it in bold, increase the font size. That is the message that needs to be shown here. President Trump has reached maximum negotiating leverage. And 50, 60, 70 countries are coming to the table to negotiate. You love to see it. You love to see it. There are more wins that we need to talk about. Specifically, Korea coming to the table, South Korea coming to the table. That's wild. But we have groceries down, we have energy down, interest rates down, and Trump wants to then refinance the debt. We're going to talk about all that and more. Plus, I have highlights from Benjamin Netanyahu's White House visit, and we haven't even gotten to the Supreme Court victories that Trump was handed yesterday, which is just wild. A lot to cover. Hang out with us. 615-737-9986 is the number to call. This is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I want to tell you something that could absolutely change your life. If you are suffering from back pain, knee pain, or nerve issues, it is time to pick up the phone and call my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville today. 615-246-5009. They've rolled out the Big 47 deal for 2025 in honor of DJT because he never gave up on America. So Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they're not going to give up on you. Now, imagine your life without pain. Can you do that for a second? If you've been living with pain for a long time, I know it's hard to do. But think about this. No more back pain. No more neck pain. No more tingling. No more sciatic nerve agony. No more sleepless nights. And you don't have to do it with pills and surgery. The Wellness Institute specializes in non-surgical spinal decompression. They have a state-of-the-art, high-tech treatment that will naturally heal your spine and nerves. Dr. Mitchell's trained everywhere. Dr. Ashley is an expert in holistic healing and advanced chiropractic care. And right now, they will take care of you. You can get your X-rays there. You can get an exam. You can even bring your own MRI if you have one to review with the doctor. And then they'll build a game plan to get you pain-free. You need to get back to a pain-free life. You need to call Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or visit painisbad.com.
I
Hey, Judge Boasberg is at it again. What he's just done to subvert the Supreme Court. We've got that and more coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can watch the show on Super Talk TV and join the most red-pilled chat on YouTube. I was just commenting, catching up on the chat. They were laughing that I've been butthurt about not being invited to the Mormon church. And they're very impressed, like Joan Jones often is, with my eyebrows.
They don't have a...
Right? I'm not alone.
No, it's just such a weird thing to get complimented on.
Yeah, I saw in the text line, it was like maybe they already assumed that you were a part of the church.
Maybe. You think that's what it is?
It's the vibe.
Did the magic underpants give it away? It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 10 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Supreme Court clearing the way for the Trump administration to resume deportations of alleged Venezuelan gang members. But the migrants must now be given the option to challenge their removal. Here's ABC's Perry Russum with that.
The Trump administration celebrating a decision by the Supreme Court, allowing deportations to resume under a rarely used 18th century wartime law. The justice is lifting an order by Judge James Boasberg. Last month, Boasberg blocked the Trump administration from deporting Venezuelan migrants under the Alien Enemies Act.
Now, just this morning, independent journalist Julie Kelly reports D.C. District Judge Jed Boasberg has instructed the ACLU to file another motion next week explaining why D.C. is the proper place to continue the lawsuit, even after SCOTUS says it is not. Well, news from DOJ today, the agency revealing that millions of migrants are receiving taxpayer-funded Medicaid benefits. Thousands of them are on voter rolls across the country, they said, and they are illegally voting in American elections. Now, those migrants have obtained Social Security cards after being released into the country, but with a notice to appear in immigration court. Their court dates, however, average 6 years after their release into the country. DOJ official Antonio Gracia, speaking to the Daily Wire, accuses the Democrat Party of opening the border in order to import new voters. Well, some GOP senators are expressing frustration over tariffs, but President Trump isn't having it.
President Trump would veto a bipartisan bill in the Senate that aims to rein in his authority to impose tariffs. The legislation would require the president to notify Congress of new tariffs and require Congress to vote to approve those tariffs within 60 days of their issuance. A White House statement sent to Senate Republicans and obtained by ABC News says, quote, if passed, this bill would dangerously hamper the president's authority and duty to determine our foreign policy and protect our national security. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
The man accused of causing a deadly crash in the Gulch last week is now out of the hospital.
George Cheney Sr. blew through a red light and then T-boned a taxi cab. Both cars then slammed into the restaurant, the Del Frisco's restaurant there in the Gulch. 2 passengers in the taxi died. Their driver was also critically hurt.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams there. George Cheney Sr. is in jail and he will be charged. Sports commentator Stephen A. Smith says he is leaving all doors open when it comes to a presidential bid. In a post on X, he said that he is, quote, sick of this mess. Now, Smith has been especially critical of the Democrat Party in the wake of President Trump's successful return to the White House. He has suggested that he would run as a Democrat. Stocks have bounced back pretty nicely today. We've got the Dow Jones Industrials plus 994 points. The NASDAQ is up by 521 and the S&P 500 index, that's up by 143. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, the things that me and Mason talk about during the break, we could never bring on air, but are just awesome.
China.
It has nothing to do with that.
I just love that bumper.
But it may have to do with this story. Taiwanese President William Lai Ching-te on Sunday proposed zero tariffs, lower trade barriers, and more investment in the United States instead of retaliating against President Trump's tariff increases. We're seeing all these countries coming in. Everybody wants to make a deal. And Taiwan, they're here for it. Now, if you remember, Taiwan got a 32% tariff on all of their exports except semiconductors, which that's like their biggest deal, right? It's their most economically significant product they make in Taiwan. And if you'll remember, Donald Trump is on record saying you stole semiconductors from us through unfair trade practices. And he said he doesn't blame them. He gives them credit for doing that. He blames the people that were sitting in the seat that he's sitting in now that allowed it to happen. But now officials in Taipei, they were stunned about the tariffs and they want to come to the table and make a deal. And they're not just offering 0 for 0. They're also offering investment. You see, EU, the 0 for 0 doesn't get you that far. What are you going to do to invest? Meanwhile, President Trump is sitting in the White House yesterday with Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's touting the successes of his economy thus far. And there are a lot of successes to hang your hat on. If you remember, for what was it, like the first 10 days of the Trump administration, it was what happened to the egg prices, and then that quickly evaporated as a talking point. But Trump yesterday took a moment to just highlight the successes.
It's because prices got so high, people couldn't live. I mean, the prices for groceries, the prices for standard groceries, standard things were going through the roof. They couldn't live. And now those prices are coming down. So call them groceries, but that's down, energy's down, and interest rates are down. Everything's down. And the interest rates, the beauty there is when we refinance debt, debt's become such a big factor in this country. We're going to start paying debt off with tariffs and other things. But it's such a big factor because the interest rate's so high. Well, now that's coming way down. So our budget's going to look a lot better because interest costs are way down. And I guess I've done that.
I love the way he ends that. And I guess I've done that.
And I guess I've done that.
I guess I've done that. He's the most humble president we've ever had. Let's be perfectly honest. If you're ranking the most humble presidents, President Trump would tell you he's definitely number one when it comes to the most humble. And I guess I've done that. But honestly, these wins aren't being celebrated enough. They're just not. And I'm wondering what we're going to see the news kvetching about today as the stock market has rebounded, because all day yesterday it was Donald Trump is ruining the economy. One host on MSNBC actually said that Republican voters would rather watch the world burn than vote for a black woman. Oh, okay. That's how I felt. This is where we're at. But they talked about a few other things at the White House with Netanyahu yesterday. One of the main topics was the tariffs, and Donald Trump reiterating how many countries are coming to the table to negotiate. And this is a good thing. And if you don't want to negotiate, well, you're going to be paying substantial tariffs.
Well, we're not looking at that. We have many countries that are coming to negotiate deals with us, and they're going to be fair deals. And in certain cases, they're going to be paying substantial tariffs. They'll be fair deals. As you know, I spoke this morning with the Prime Minister of Japan, and we had a very good conversation. They're coming. And I said, one thing, you're going to have to open up your country, because we sold no cars, like 0 cars in Japan. And they sold millions of cars into our country. They don't really take our agriculture, a little bit of it just to keep us slightly happy, but they don't take what they're supposed to be taking. So We have a great relationship with Japan. We're going to keep it that way. But they're coming in to meet, and other countries are coming in. With China, as you know, against my statement, they put a 34% tariff on above what their ridiculous tariffs were already. And I said, if that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on.
That deadline's rapidly approaching, right? Like that, we are about 47 and a half minutes away from that deadline. Do you think China's going to bend the knee? I mean, we're going to find out. We're going to find out for sure. But if you don't want to negotiate, you're going to pay substantial tariffs. And the Chinese market, they are dependent on the American market. They need someone to sell the cheap crap to. So I feel like they have to play ball. President Trump dives into it a little bit more.
So they've gone for years. They've become a rich country because of people, again, that were in the White House that allowed this to happen.
Yep.
Hundreds of billions of dollars a year they'd make on us on trade, and it shouldn't be that way. And I have a great relationship with President Xi. I hope it's going to stay that way. I have great respect for China, but they can't do this. We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it because we have been just destroyed, what they've done to our system. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. And the reason is that people allowed it to get that way. So we'll be talking to China. We'll be talking to a lot of different countries. And I think, you know, if we can make a really fair deal and a good deal for the United States, not a good deal for others, this is America first.
Amen. This is what it's all about. America first. If we can make a deal, great. If we can't, you're going to be paying substantial tariffs. Again, we are 45 minutes away from that initial deadline that Trump set in his ultimatum to China yesterday, where he was very upset that they had the retaliatory tariffs. And he posted a long statement on Truth Social, and he also posted it on X, where he said, if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above their already long-term trading abuses by tomorrow, April 8th, 2025, the United States will impose an additional tariffs on China of 50% effective April 9th. Additionally, all talks with China concerning their requested meetings with us will be terminated. Negotiations with other countries, which have also requested meetings, will begin taking place immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We are now 45 minutes away from that deadline. 45 minutes away. And we'll see what happens. I don't think Trump is playing around. I don't think he's messing around at all. I think he's dead serious, and we're about to find out. China may be about to find out. It's the F around and find out scale. The more you F around, the more you could find out. So we'll all find out together here in about 45 minutes. I expect a mean tweet. Do you expect a mean tweet? I feel like it has to be a mean tweet.
A very stern tweet at the latest. At the least.
Would just China with a bunch of eyes and an exclamation point suffice?
How do you think he says that?
Like, do you think he would just do it in drop form? China!
Just a nice loud
China?
Yeah, I feel like that would be good.
That's a good one, yeah.
Did you just drop a voice note on the tweet? don't even type anything.
No video clip, no nothing. Just
nothing.
Just a play button with 1 second. It's just
China.
Do you think it's going to be would it be a yelling like China, you're late, or is it like a China?
Like I think it'd be more of like I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed kind of vibe.
China.
It wouldn't be that one.
China.
That's a good one. That'd be a good one.
That'd be a good one.
That's what I would do.
I like the slightly aggressive one from earlier too that I'm going to pull for later.
Yes. Yeah, the slightly aggressive is nice as well.
It's good.
We tend to like slightly aggressive.
Yeah,
we do.
China.
Well, you're about to find out. 44 minutes and counting.
Man,
we'll see what happens. Netanyahu was at the White House yesterday. That's where a lot of these questions were taking place in the Oval Office. And Netanyahu is sitting there, and while they're sitting there, the topic of Iran comes up, as it often does when Israel is in the room. We're 5 years away from a nuclear weapon. We've been saying that for how many years? Decades. They're 5 years away. I'm not into war with Iran, especially currently as it stands where we are. in the United States from a manufacturing standpoint. I don't think another forever war is in our favor, and I just want no part of it. Trump, though, he's making the case that we're going to deal with the Iranians directly, and that they would be smart to make a deal with America.
Yes, Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to ask you about Iran because this is the first time we hear that the U.S. is having a direct contact with the Iranians. Is it possible to give us some more information at what level the U.S. is?
High level, very high level, yeah. We're dealing with the Iranians. We have a very big meeting on Saturday, and we're dealing with them directly. You know, a lot of people say, oh, maybe you're going through surrogates or you're not dealing directly, you're dealing through other countries. No, we're dealing with them directly, and maybe a deal's going to be made. That would be great. It would be really great for Iran, I can tell you that. But hopefully, we're not going to have to get into that. We are meeting very importantly on Saturday at almost the highest level.
So the meeting is set for Saturday, and they want to make a deal of some sort, and it would be more beneficial to Iran. I tend to agree with that. It's always more beneficial when you make a deal and you don't get bombed. That leads to beneficial results. That being said, I'm not in support of any forever war against Iran, and I do get where Trump is at on some of this stuff. But listen, we voted for the president of peace. We voted against neocon forever wars. I feel like ever since October 7th, it was like October 7th, like just hours after the attack, and Lindsey Graham's like, we got to bomb Iran. And so I can only imagine that since Trump has been in the White House, he's had people in his ear like, hey, yo, would you like to bomb Iran? He's like, no, not yet. Okay, I'll check back tomorrow. It's like that probably happens on a daily basis at the White House. But Trump said when it comes to talks with Iran, one of the things that we can't be any longer is stupid people. And I think you can kind of glean what he's saying from the clip. But the type of stupid leadership decisions, like, I don't know, sending pallets of cash. I feel like that's a dumb decision, or billions in exchange for hostages that are then used to finance terror attacks. I feel like that's stupid. And Trump said we can't be stupid anymore. And I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I can hear my 3-year-old in the back of my mind saying, "Dad, we don't say stupid." But I understand. I understand if you're listening, Millie. I'm sorry, but we can't be stupid. We're not saying stupid.
We're having direct talks with Iran, and they've started. It'll go on Saturday. We have a very big meeting, and we'll see what can happen. And I think everybody agrees that doing a deal would be preferable to doing the obvious. And the obvious is not something that I want to be involved with, or frankly, that Israel wants to be involved with if they can avoid it. So we're going to see if we can avoid it.
The obvious is military intervention, right? If we can avoid the obvious.
But it's getting to be very dangerous territory. And hopefully those talks will be successful. And I think it would be in Iran's best interest if they are successful. We hope that's going to happen. And we had just a lot of good talks on a lot of things. I appreciate very much what you said about the tariffs. We've been ripped off and taken advantage of by many countries over the years, and can't do it anymore. Just can't do it anymore.
No, we can't. And that's what we're seeing from the Trump administration. America first. We'll keep you updated on those talks with Iran that are set to take place on Saturday. And if you want to weigh in on the conversation, 615-737-9986. I see a couple people on the line. We'll get to you guys next. It is 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock Store, and I want to give you the details. We got the open house coming up, the 5th annual open house at the Glock Store, and it's going to be awesome. This year it's on Saturday, May 31st, and they're going to be raising the bar. This is what they've told me via text, via email, via phone call. They said, we're raising the bar. I was there last year, and I don't know how they raised the bar. I mean, last year they had incredible speakers. They had a ton of giveaways. So they say they're going to raise the bar, but it's a high bar. It's a high bar. They're still in the planning stage. They have always entertaining speakers, incredible activities, awesome store-wide discounts, and the most incredible raffles ever. Last year, they gave away over $15,000 worth of great gun gear and had all of these below-cost flash sales for Glocks and famous brand sporting rifles. And rumor has it, this year, they're giving away multiple Glocks. Yes, I said they're giving away multiple Glocks. You don't want to miss it. It's a one-of-a-kind party at the Glock Store. Myself, Murphy, Mandis will all be there Saturday, May 31st from 10 to 2. Again, the one and only Glock Store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Clarksville is picking up the soggy pieces as waters finally begin to recede, and why one shooting suspect is nursing some gnarly wounds this morning. That and more coming up here at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Is it a gunshot wound?
No, come on. Be more creative than that.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it now. Joan Jones in the newsroom. She's coming up in mere moments with the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. You want to join the show, 615-737-9986. I got Ken in Nashville who wants to talk about Iran. What's up, Ken?
Well, first of all, thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I'm here again. I'm with your caller and with you because Trump, I hope, will do what he says what he's promised to do when he was running for office. But who knows? I mean, Iran, in my opinion, you got to have a perceived enemy. You got the neocons like Lindsey Graham and others in D.C. I mean, he's one of them. Probably about 90% of them that would like to have a war all the time. Yeah. I don't know about Iran. I'm not sure that they're as dangerous as we think they are. But and we got people like Pakistan. They have the nukes. India has the nukes. A lot of people have the nukes. I mean, are they really a perceived enemy or a creative enemy? I mean, we went to war with Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction, which proved to be a lie. Then you had Libya back with the Pan Am 103 bombing. And again, there was never any concrete proof and never a fair trial on that situation. So I'm not sure about these enemies, these so-called enemies we have. I don't know whether they're real or perceived, but I know the war is very profitable, and I hope that Trump keeps us out of the war.
Yeah, Ken, you nailed it, man, and I'm with you. War is very profitable. But, war with Iran, I don't know. Like, are they as bad as everybody says they are? They've been 5 years away from a nuclear weapon since I was a kid. So do they either have it or they can't get it? I don't know. But I'm not in on forever wars. That's just, I just feel like it's stupid. There you go. I'm saying the word again that my 3-year-old doesn't want me to say, but I said it. Mike in Nashville wants to talk about tariffs. What's up, Mike? Thanks for holding, man.
Okay, how you doing today, brother? Hey, listen, man. Chris, you like I said, you one of the best guys on the radio. I listen to you every day. I'm a truck driver and I drive from state to state, and I live in Nashville, but I'm in Texas right now. And like I said, you do a hell of a job. I listen to you every day from 9 to 12.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, you keep me rolling, man. When I don't feel like waking up in the morning. But yeah, listen, Chris. I'm tired of dealing with these people, and I think Trump is tired of dealing. Listen, I don't know if you've ever had experience with the Chinese or Oriental people, but these people, they have a stereotype about Americans that American people are not very intelligent, they're not very smart, and these people are trying to pull the wool over the United States here, and they've been doing it for years, China and Japan. Like Trump said, Chris, I told you this last week, we can't even sell our vehicles in China and Japan, but yet these people want to bring the Toyotas, the Hondas, and whatever other car they got and sell them in the U.S. and think that that's a fair deal. Well, it's not a fair deal. If we, like Trump said, they need to buy Chevrolets and Ford. You need to have Chevrolets and Fords riding around in China and Japan. If they don't want to do that, then we need the hell with them. Both of those countries, or either put them at 60, 70, 80% tariffs. I don't care what they do with these people at this point, because I'm fed up with them and I'm tired of the upside down deal. Joe Biden basically sold us out. You know that. You talked about it for a long time. Joe Biden is bought and paid for by China, and China thought they was going to do the same thing when Trump got in the White House, but it's not happening. So hopefully Trump will enforce that deadline that you've been talking about for the last few minutes that's coming up real soon.
Oh, yeah.
Tell China that they're gonna negotiate a deal, or we're not going to deal with them anymore. That's the way you have to handle people like that, Chris, that are taking advantage of you, because if you don't, China is like a bully. If you don't do it, then they're going to continue. And one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, Chris, is the deal that Donald Trump, he needs to immediately start building these factories in America. Because China, they figure that they got us over the hill because they know that we get all our drugs and stuff from them. So they figure that we have to kiss up to them. So Donald Trump needs to start building these factories in America, the chip factories and the drug factories, so we can produce our own drug. We have enough people. We have enough wherewithal to do it our damn self. And we shouldn't have to depend on China and such as Joe Biden. And like I said before, I'm going to repeat myself one more time before I hang up with you. If China doesn't want to negotiate a fair and equal deal, the hell with them. And I thank you for taking my call.
I'm with you, Mike, and I appreciate the call. Yeah, and I agree on building the factories as quickly as possible. Some people say that, oh, nobody wants to work in a factory. It's like, yeah, nobody wants their family to be hungry either. Like, and if it's a good paying job, people will take factory work. Like, absolutely. And I don't think that you're going to have as much of an issue filling these jobs as some folks think. I just don't subscribe to that. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 10:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Waters are beginning to recede, but the flooding is still very much a problem in places like Clarksville, where there's still an emergency declaration today. Channel 4's Jordan James reports on the assistance that's pouring in there.
Among the organizations is JPAC, who has been offering clothes, food, and other necessities to flood victims. Their volunteers will also help with cleanup once the water recedes. JPAC is partnering with the American Red Cross and is serving as an emergency evacuation evacuation center.
TEMA says it could take weeks for the water to completely recede in places in some spots in Middle Tennessee. An overnight police chase ended badly for a couple of suspects. A Metro Police helicopter began following a car after reports of shots fired in South Nashville. Eventually, police laid down spike strips to stop the car. News 2's Jaxie Pigeon picks it up from there.
Officials say 2 suspects got out of the vehicle and hid in a culvert where they were eventually located by a canine. 1 suspect was bit before police took the duo into custody.
Oh, that pair were also found to be in possession of a couple of weapons. Science researchers are claiming a big victory at a lab in Dallas.
A howl 13,000 years in the making. In a first for science, biotech company Colossal Biosciences says it brought the extinct direwolf back to life, a species that hasn't walked the earth since the Stone Age.
ABC's Matt Gutman reporting those researchers say they plan to have woolly mammoths roaming the earth again by 2028. Well, President Trump says he had a successful conversation with South Korea's acting president, and China may be ready to make a deal, too, on a trade deal. So the Dow Jones Industrials right now still above. We are up 831 points. The NASDAQ is gaining 387, and the S&P 500 index, that's up 109. That's the latest news. Weather is up next, and I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
37 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. You can listen to the show anywhere on the FM dial, the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app. Podcasts are always available on Apple and Spotify, and you can watch the show as well. If you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, we appreciate it. If you've never watched the show before, it's worth it. I think people say I got nice eyebrows. Plus,
don't go throwing that around when the Mormons will take it.
Listen, Joan Jones said it, so it must be true. But we also, for all the audio elements that you hear on the radio, we provide a video element on the live stream. So there's definitely some benefit there. And then if you miss something, you want to hear it again, you can always go back and watch the live stream on YouTube. You can skip through the commercials, all that kind of stuff. There's definitely some benefit there. Please hit like and subscribe. It'll help me feed my kids and send them to summer camp, and it's free for you to do. You wouldn't want to deprive the kids of summer camp, would you? I didn't think so.
Wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so. Hit like and subscribe. We got a couple of Supreme Court victories yesterday, which is wild. What? The Supreme Court is siding with us?
What?
I know. All right, so there was two. I mean, just Cliff Notes version. Mass deportations can continue because SCOTUS struck down the Boasberg ruling on the Alien Enemies Act, and then a SCOTUS says that the judge, Paula Zinnis, I believe is her name, Judge Zinnis can't order that dear old Maryland dad out of an El Salvadoran prison because he had a deportation order and he was an MS-13 gang member. I love that one though. I like both of these. My favorite though is how the media's, he's just a dad. He's just trying to put food on the table. And it's like, well, how is he doing that? It's like, human trafficking. It's kind of illegal, He's just a hardworking guy who happens to be a member of MS-13. Well, don't let the details get in the way. Don't let that happen. Post Millennial has this story. The judge that said that Maryland dad had to be returned from that El Salvadoran prison, got a spanking by the Supreme Court. They said, no, not so fast. The U.S. Supreme Court has paused that lower court judge's ruling that ordered the Trump administration to return by the end of the day Monday a man who had been deported to El Salvador, which is hilarious. Deal with it. Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, he wasn't going to send this guy back, full disclosure. But Chief Justice John Roberts, surprisingly, paused the order from U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnis, requiring that Kilmar Abrego Garcia be returned to the U.S. Zinnis' order came in a response to a lawsuit filed by the man and his family, and she wrote, "It is ordered that the April 4th, 2025 order of the United States District Court of Maryland is hereby stayed pending further order of the undersigned or of the court. It is further ordered that a response to the application be filed on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 by 5 p.m., the order stated." So Zinnis had ordered that he be returned to the U.S. By 11:59 last night, Eastern time, after he was deported on March 15th aboard those one-way tickets to El Salvador and CCOT. In a filing to the Supreme Court, the DOJ said he was removed to El Salvador through administrative error, though his removal process from the U.S. was not an error, per Reuters. Abrego Garcia had received a deportation order in 2019. I know what you're thinking. Biden and his administration didn't enforce deportation orders?
What?
It's a shocker. It's this one must have slipped through the cracks. It must. They must have just missed it. Zinnis found that the 2019 order was still in place and wrote in her Sunday decision that there were no legal grounds whatsoever for his arrest, detention, or removal. She said the removal of Abrego Garcia was wholly lawless. There were no legal grounds whatsoever for his arrest, detention, or removal. The illegal alien MS-13 gang member with a deportation order. These are your courts on activist judges. Let's be real. This is what it looks like when progressive judges take over your courts. In a filing to the Supreme Court, the Department of Justice said the United States cannot guarantee success in sensitive international negotiations in advance, least of all when a court imposes an absurdly compressed mandatory deadline that vastly complicates the give and take of foreign relations and negotiations. The United States does not control El Salvador, nor can it compel El Salvador to follow a federal judge's bidding. So, quick version, deal with it. He's not coming back. Now, after the SCOTUS dropped that ruling that dear old Maryland dad can't come home, MSNBC's Eddie Glaude, he launched into a rant that is it's one for the ages. And in the middle of the rant, he pauses himself and he tries to regain his composure, to which the MSNBC host essentially says, "Go off, King." And so he does. He continues to go off.
Have to grapple with it because it's the snake, it's the beast coiled up in the heart, the bosom of the country, as Frederick Douglass said. And the fact that they are doubling down on this shows you what kind of human beings they actually are.
Oh. Also, Frederick Douglass was a Republican. I just want to point that out. Weird. So, the fact that they're doubling down on this, it shows you who they are. Yeah, people that don't want illegal alien gang members roaming the streets, illegal alien gangs that have been designated as terrorist organizations, illegal alien gangs that are pushing fentanyl and selling kids on the streets. Yeah. Listen, if that's who you think we are, okay, perfect. I have no objections. And then he pauses. He's, this stuff, it hits him in his core. He's such an emotional being. And he's thinking about this poor dad that's not coming back home. Well, he might go home, but home is not here. So he pauses. He's very distraught. And that's when the MSNBC host, I think it's Nicole Wallace, says, "Go off, King."
Say more.
Say more. That's translated into "Go off, King."
We chose a felon who is more interested in loyalty, who's more interested in retribution, who's more interested in grift than in democracy. And we chose a felon because we didn't want to elect a black woman.
Oh, there it is. There it is. So you understand it's all racism, right? People didn't overwhelmingly vote for Donald Trump because they liked him. He didn't win every swing state because people agreed with his campaign promises and thought that he did pretty good in his first term. He didn't win the popular vote because an overwhelming majority of Americans realized that this was the way forward. No. He won because all of those Americans, those millions and millions, 70 million plus Americans, 77 million Americans, they didn't want to vote for a black lady. Got it. This is where we're at. It's racism. That's why we're here. I'm not going to play the rest of the clip. I just feel like it was probably Nicole Wallace saying, "Slay, Queen. Slay. Slay. Slay." That's probably what she was saying. Do you think she said that? I think she said that.
I just don't like hearing you say slay in a whisper to me in my ears.
Slay. They want to talk about racism, though, right? And the reality of it is there is a racist party out there. It just so happens to be the Democrats. And when Jasmine Crockett finds herself behind a podium, she decides to suggest that the U.S. needs illegal aliens because they need to pick the cotton because black people aren't doing it anymore. I'm not joking with you. This is what she said.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton.
No, all right, that's for the illegal aliens to do, I guess. Is that the point she's making? Also, we're a nation of immigrants. I hate that talking point. We are not talking about the legal immigrants who came through the right way. They do this time and time and time again. But we're a nation of immigrants. Your ancestors snuck into this. Come on. We have a border. We have a process. These gang members and these terrorists and these human traffickers and these drug traffickers didn't follow the process. I mean, hey, they might be doing jobs Americans don't want to do, like extorting young women for rent money and ripping out their fingernails. But I don't really want them here. I don't approve. But we elected Trump because we're racist. The Democrat Party says we need illegal aliens to pick cotton. I don't really know what to do. I don't know what to do with that one. But this is the reality of the situation. Scott Jennings, he brought what some call sanity to CNN recently, and he tried to inject some of that sanity into the debate over deportations last night. Not Jasmine Crockett. She wants to make everybody just insanely mad and radicalized, right? Like that's what those comments are for. Scott Jennings is like, just chill, just for a second, just chill, and let's think about what we're talking about here.
Then when they admit that they did it by accident, they say, it's too late. We have no jurisdiction now. We can't do anything about it. That's not fair. And it can happen to anybody. So, and if we don't stop it now, the scope will get bigger, and then it will happen to you, and then you'll have a problem with it.
That's always the Democrat argument. Oh, listen, first they came for the illegal aliens, and I said nothing. And then they came for me. There was no one left to stand for me. You know what I mean? Like, that's their argument. Scott Jennings hears the argument and shuts down the argument.
I think also you're conflating legal American citizens with people who came here illegally. We do this all the time in these debates. And I think what the administration is trying to do is be as aggressive as possible at deporting different kinds of populations. One, people who've committed heinous, violent crimes. Number two, people that were violent before they came here. Number three, anyone who came here illegally. I mean, look, I'm sorry, but if you came here illegally, no matter how well-intentioned you were, there's probably a decent chance you're going to be sent back. And that's what the administration clearly communicated to the American people in the election. They overwhelmingly voted for it, and it's not particularly a controversial matter.
Well, but MSNBC told me that they only voted for Trump because he wasn't a black woman. Also, with that MSNBC clip, said, "Oh, they're racist. They only voted for Trump because they couldn't bring themselves to vote for a black woman." The first thing I thought of when I heard that clip, I'm not gonna lie to you, was, "Wow, I didn't know she was black." I don't know, was it just me? When that guy on MSNBC says they only voted for her because they only didn't vote for her because she's a black woman, I said, "Oh, I thought she was Indian. I didn't know. I didn't know she was black." Black.
That'll never get old.
It's so good. What up, Ken? Ken's back in the newsroom.
I'll never forget the day after that.
Oh, Ken was upset.
I was angry.
Ken was like, "Why would Trump say that? I didn't know she was black."
I looked at you and you said, "I loved it." And then you explained it, and I loved it too.
Well, he said, no. It went down like this. Ken whips around and goes, "What do you think, brother Chris?" And you ever see the meme where it's Nicolas Cage and the other guy in the car, and like Nicolas Cage is all freaked out, and then the other guy's smiling?
Yes.
That was me and Ken that day. That was me and Ken. I was like, "Oh, your first time?"
Oh.
I didn't. So when the MSNBC guy said they didn't vote for Kamala because they couldn't vote for a black woman, I thought, I didn't know she was black.
Yeah.
It's 10:51. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Spring rebate madness is still going on. You still have a chance to save some big money from Busy Bee. Listen to these rebates. Mini split 17 SEER or heat pump 17 SEER lands you an $800 rebate. A heat pump 15 or 16 SEER lands you a $500 rebate. Duct cleaning, sealing, repair, $300 rebate. Tune-ups, you get a $50 rebate for each one. I could go on and on and on, but let me pause at tune-ups here for a second. It's just $99 for your annual Beehive Club membership, and that comes with 3 annual tune-ups. If you're getting a $50 rebate on the tune-up, Quick napkin math shows that they're paying you to become a Beehive Club member. So why don't you do that today? You get 3 annual tune-ups, 10% off all repairs, front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. All of this and more from Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. I'm a Beehive Club member. You should be a Beehive Club member. BusyBeeHVAC.com.
All right, drivers, got a rolling roadblock to fix potholes. It's blocking the right lane of Vietnam Veterans Boulevard eastbound right before New Shackle Island Road there in Hendersonville. At least 27 people killed, more than 130 are hurt after a roof collapse. We'll tell you about that coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So the stocks rebounding, jumping. Is this a good thing? Is green good? Hey, Ken, is green good?
It depends.
Okay.
Now, if your face is green after you've eaten something, no.
Okay.
If it's the stock market, yes.
This is why we have Ken in the newsroom. This is why.
Also in the traffic maps. Green
Amen.
is good, especially if it's I-24.
I actually got some audio from inside the New York Stock Exchange. Can you kill that bed for a second? This is happening right now on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. It's getting a little wild in there. It's crazy. I've never seen so much dancing. All right, that's enough. Poppy Trumpo posted that on X, and it's just a video of Trump dancing in front of all the green. Hold on. Let me put it up on the stream so that way my stream friends can see. If you're watching on YouTube, this is a live look at the stock exchange. You like that dance moves? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. We were just saying yesterday, be a little patient. This is why you need to watch on Super Talk TV, because you would have no idea that there's a cat just bobbing its head to this.
And then it's Trump dancing.
It's Trump dancing, pointing to the audience. Happy as a clam.
Well, we'll have fun with this until we don't. The market could tank the rest of the day, and I'm like, whatever. We had our moment.
We had our moment.
Yep.
Too bad for everybody else.
Somebody's having a moment today. Amy Coney Barrett. Have you heard about Amy Coney Barrett?
I've seen a lot of very nasty things said about her online.
People are very upset with one Amy Coney Barrett. Now, I'll give you a tease, okay? But this tease is only if you're watching on Super Talk TV. We're going to talk about Amy Coney Barrett when we get back. But if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll see the new portrait of Amy Coney Barrett. You like that portrait?
Oh no!
A lot of MS-13 face tattoos on that portrait. I mean, you might as well. She's basically in with the crew now.
The crew.
She did. She got jumped in yesterday, I think, is what happened.
Jumped in.
Can you imagine that? It's crazy. It's crazy. This was a Trump pick. Very disappointing.
I just had a visual of a Supreme Court justice in her robe getting jumped in.
Blood in, blood out, baby. That's how they do it. We'll talk about Amy Coney Barrett joining MS-13 when we get back. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, drivers, we've got rolling roadblocks to fix potholes. This is in Hendersonville. You got the right lane block, Vietnam Veterans Boulevard eastbound before New Shackle Island Road. That is stop-and-go traffic starting at Gallatin Pike. And drivers in Nashville, emergency sewer repair has prompted lane closures. The intersection of Bell Road and Smith Springs Road. Metro Water Services says it's going to be down to one lane in each direction through this evening. That's the intersection of Bell Road and Smith Springs. Full forecast in 5 minutes. And the push is on to get real IDs in the U.S. Here's Andrew Dembert.
The countdown is on for people across the country to get a real ID before new federal rules go into effect next month. A standard driver's license will no longer be accepted as identification to fly even domestically. So starting May 7th, travelers will need a real ID or a passport. Americans have been scrambling to get appointments at local DMVs. In the New York area, people are waiting for months.
Here in Middle Tennessee, the man accused of causing a deadly crash in the Gulch last week is out of the hospital.
George Cheney Sr. blew through a red light and then T-boned a taxi cab. Both cars then slammed into the restaurant, the Del Frisco's restaurant there in the Gulch. 2 passengers in the taxi died. Their driver was also critically hurt.
That's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams. Cheney is in jail. He's going to be charged. At least 27 people have been killed. More than 130 hurt after a roof collapse at a nightclub in the Dominican Republic's capital of Santo Domingo. Here's Guy Davies.
Disaster struck at the Jet Set Club in the nation's capital just after midnight local time. Search and rescue efforts are now underway, the government calling for doctors from all around the country to help treat the wounded there. The venue was packed at the time. It's not known if there are any foreign nationals in attendance. An investigation is now underway to determine the cause of the collapse, though the priority is those search and rescue efforts.
Well, a woman convicted of one heinous crime, accused in another, decides to represent herself. Here's Stephanie Officer.
Lori Vallow Daybell, convicted of killing her 2 youngest children and conspiring to murder a romantic rival, is on trial again. This time, she's accused in Arizona of conspiring to murder her estranged husband, Charles Vallow, and cash in on a life insurance policy while believing he was possessed by an evil spirit. She isn't a lawyer but is representing herself in the 6-week trial. Vallow Daybell has pleaded not guilty.
And new data from Health and Human Services shows allergies are lasting longer. Michelle Franzen.
If you feel like allergy season is getting longer, you're not wrong, and you're not alone. Research shows tree pollen is peaking, and grass pollen season is not only getting longer, but getting more intense. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, rising temperatures are leading to milder winters and more frost-free days. That confuses trees and other blooming plants and leads to more pollen and sneezing. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.1106 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you for listening to the show. However, you may be listening to the show. It's brought to us by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Love those guys. Love it wherever you're listening on iHeart, TuneIn, the 99.7 WTN app, or the FM dial. Love all those ways. You can also watch the show. We are live on Super Talk TV, which is on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I try to do my best responding to all the comments, and I my best is not good enough, full disclosure. But we appreciate all the comments, all the conversation on all the topics, whether you're on the YouTube channel or you're on the super text line or the phone lines at 615-737-9986. So we're talking about the Supreme Court handing Donald Trump a couple wins yesterday, and one of them was that dear old Maryland dad, just working hard being a dad and also an MS-13 member, is not coming back. He's not coming back. Thank you, John Roberts, of all people. That's it's wow, cool. Thanks. We'll say thanks for that one. Didn't expect it, but here we are. What we did expect, though, was Amy Coney Barrett to do Amy Coney Barrett things. It seems like every big decision that the Supreme Court is going to make, there's one huge question mark, and it's Amy Coney Barrett. Again and again and again. Amy Coney Barrett. Now, was she the wrong pick for SCOTUS? Yeah, clearly. It looks like that now. And hindsight is 20/20. At the time when Donald Trump picked her, they were just getting through the Kavanaugh mess, right? And I think that one of the reasons why she was picked was she was going to be hard to attack from that unhinged leftist point of view. They weren't going to line up outside of Amy Coney Barrett's home, right? They weren't going to accuse her of gang rape at parties. Just little things that they weren't going to be able to do to her that they did to Kavanaugh. So I think that was probably the thought process behind the pick. And this is just me. I don't have any insider information or anything like that. This is just my vantage point from the outside. I think that they picked her because they thought to themselves, this won't create as much of a fight, and if it does turn into any bigger of a fight, it's going to look really bad for the left. Yet here we are, many years later, and it just looks bad for the right. It looks like a terrible Supreme Court pick. Now, he got some good ones in. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, solid. I'm here for it. Amy Coney Barrett, disappointing. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Let's be real. That would be 1 out of 3 would be Hall of Fame in baseball. But I think we should aim a little bit higher. Amy Coney Barrett keeps letting us down, and she did so again yesterday. Do you have the picture of Amy Coney Barrett up on the screen? Let's get that picture of Amy Coney Barrett up on the screen, just so everybody knows we're talking about Amy Coney Barrett. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll see the lovely portrait of Amy Coney Barrett, except now she is donned in MS-13 face tattoos because, I don't know, at least from my view, she sided with MS-13 gang members and individuals who have been designated as terrorist organizations yesterday than American people. And it just, I don't know how you get around that. I really don't know how you get around that. So the Supreme Court did allow the mass deportations of gang members under the Alien Enemies Act to continue. Huge win. Not to be understated. That was a big deal. The United States Supreme Court lifted that block from James Boasberg yesterday, which prevented the administration from deporting suspected illegal alien gang members under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. So that's a win. We should celebrate the win. We should also call out the failures. And while the ruling from the Supreme Court is a win for Trump, once again, we have Amy Coney Barrett siding with liberal justices. It was a 5-4 decision. 5-4. If Roberts doesn't go our way, we have a completely different conversation today. Amy Coney Barrett, what's the deal? Now, the Supreme Court justices found that the migrants had improperly challenged their deportations in Washington, D.C., when they should have challenged them in Texas, where they're being held. The justices did not address the question of whether the Trump administration improperly categorized the Venezuelans as deportable under the Alien Enemies Act, finding the migrants had improperly challenged their deportations in Washington, D.C. The justices determined that the migrants should have raised the challenges in Texas, where they're being held. The detainees are confined in Texas, so venue is improper in the District of Columbia. That's what the court said in its order. Take the win. Pam Bondi celebrated that on X, calling it a landmark victory for the rule of law. And did she go on Fox News? I didn't look. I'm sure she went on Fox News too. Bondi continued, as an activist judge in Washington, D.C., An activist judge in Washington, D.C. does not have the jurisdiction to seize control of President Trump's authority to conduct foreign policy and keep the American people safe. The DOJ will continue fighting in court to make America safe again. Let's go. Let's keep fighting. But while that's a win, once again, Amy Coney Barrett siding with the libs. Why? Why do you keep doing it? I thought she was conservative, right? Is she conservative? I thought she was conservative. She's siding with the libs. She has a long history of this, too. This isn't a one-off. She ruled with the libs when it came to the USAID foreign aid ruling in March. She ruled with the libs in 2024 in the Environmental Protection Agency case. She wrote a dissent joined again by the 3 liberal justices in that case, where the conservative majority granted emergency relief to states and energy companies challenging the Biden administration's smog reduction plan. Her dissent accused the majority of using feeble and cherry-picked arguments that downplayed the EPA's role in protecting air quality. She dissented in Holly Frontier Cheyenne Refining versus Renewable Fuels Association in 2021. It was her first dissent in the Supreme Court. Barrett voted against oil refineries, siding with environmentalists in a case involving renewable fuel standards. This contrasted with her earlier majority opinion in United States Fish and Wildlife Service versus Sierra Club, March 2021, where she ruled against environmentalists. Her dissent in the Holly Frontier case angered conservatives as they saw it as a departure from the expected pro-business stance of a conservative justice. She sided with the liberal justices when it came to Trump's ballot disqualification case in 2024. Barrett joined liberal justices in concurring opinion when the court unanimously rejected a Colorado ruling that would have disqualified Trump from the ballot due to his actions on January 6th in 2021. While the court was unified in the outcome, Barrett criticized the conservative majority for going too far in their reasoning, which aimed too broadly, protected alleged insurrectionists from future challenges. She also noted that the liberals overstepped in their separate opinion. Her call for committee in her critique of both sides frustrated a lot of people. And then there was a vaccine mandate case in January of 2022 where Barrett was in the minority in a 6-3 decision that denied a stay of vaccine requirement, joining liberal justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan in dissent. This case had not been fully briefed or argued, and her dissent reflected a cautious approach to overriding public health measures. Time and time again, Amy Coney Barrett is on the bleep list for conservatives. Time and time again, Amy Coney Barrett looks like she is one of these bleeding heart liberals as opposed to the conservative justice that we thought we were getting. It's disappointing. It is disappointing. But at this point, are we really surprised? I'm not surprised. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. Let's be honest. This is what we need to expect from Amy Coney Barrett. This is who she is, and there's evidence to support that. So, I mean, if she tells you who she is, maybe we should believe her. I think it's also important to do we have the conversation about while Trump is in office about getting some of our older justices to retire? Is it time for that conversation? Clarence Thomas is 76 years old. He's going to be 77 in June. Alito is 75 years old. He is going to be, he just turned 75. Is it time to start talking about these guys retiring so that way Trump can get more justices in there? I think we might need to have that conversation. Like, God forbid something happens to them. We saw what happened with the left and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We don't want a repeat of that. I think it might be time for some hard conversations with SCOTUS. Who would have those conversations with SCOTUS? Is Trump going to call them? Could Trump call Clarence Thomas and say, listen, man, for the good of the country, I think, and I love Clarence Thomas. Like, I'm not knocking him. He's just up there in age. Listen, man, it's time to retire. And we need to get another conservative on the court. Do you trust Trump to pick another conservative? 615-737-9986. I mean, after Amy Coney Barrett, are you nervous that he might make the wrong pick? All I know is that We cannot let this court fall into the hands of liberal justices. We can't. It is far too dire of a situation. If we lose the court, we're going to lose the country. So do we have that conversation now? While Amy Coney Barrett continues to disappoint, continues to side with liberal justices. I mean, we were supposed to have a 6-3 majority. What we really have is a 5-4 very slim majority. So, Thomas, Alito, do you want to wait and see what happens and hope that not only do we win a presidency in 2028, but that they stay happy and healthy and good to go? Or is it time to have that hard conversation where we say, listen, hey, spend some time with the grandkids instead. Go retire. Enjoy your sunset and relax a little bit. I think it might be the latter. I do. Now, all that being said, what happened yesterday with SCOTUS was an absolute victory. Having a judge allow the Trump administration be able to continue to enforce deportations via the Alien Enemies Act is a massive win. And we should celebrate the wins when we get them. Amy Coney Barrett siding with liberal justices is a massive, massive disappointment. Stephen Miller, though, he was on TV and he was taking his victory lap on the Alien Enemies Act, calling it a total embarrassment for one Judge Boasberg. And I don't know how you could explain this as anything other than a total embarrassment for Judge Boasberg. He was really, really playing tough, and he got smacked down by the court yesterday. This is Stephen Miller last night on Fox News. Yeah, let's not overshadow the wins. Let's not do that. But let's acknowledge the weaknesses at the exact same time, right? Like this is definitely a moment where we can look and say Amy Coney Barrett is a terrible Supreme Court justice pick by Donald Trump, and we can say that based on evidence. Maybe she said the right things in the interview, but currently, as it stands, she's awful. She is 100% weak and inefficient. She's not who we thought we were getting. Brian in Smyrna wants to talk about the Supreme Court. What's up, Brian?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, honestly, you said we were a slim 5-4. I think we're actually probably 4.5. We can't really trust Roberts or Amy Coney Barrett.
That's fair.
For most votes. I know this might sound like a wackadoo idea, but Trump's the type of president that could do it and get away with it. I don't think we can take a chance on digging down into the Federal Court of Appeals and looking for a good judge when he gets an appointment. I think he's going to have to pick somebody like a Mike Lee or Mark Levin or Ted Cruz, somebody that's got the knowledge, got the legal oomph, and we know where they stand.
Yeah, listen, I love the outside of the box ideas like Levin. I don't think that's going to happen. Ted Cruz would be phenomenal. And if I recall correctly, he'd been floated in Supreme Court justice conversations in the past. Yeah,
I mean, and Levin is a little bit out there, but heck, he was He worked in one of the justices as an aide for them at one point in time. So,
well, it wouldn't be strange to see Donald Trump pick an outsider.
Regardless, pick somebody that we know how they're going to vote, as opposed to hope. Pick somebody like a John Roberts and hope for the best.
Yep, I'm with you, Brian, and I appreciate the call, man. 11:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. On the way, we'll take more of your calls at 615-737-9986. Plus, after the news at 11:30, I got some updates on the Austin Metcalf Carmelo Anthony case out of Frisco, Texas. When you find out how much money they have raised for this kid who stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart at a track meet, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. Plus, we have statements from Carmelo Anthony's lawyers, and we also, we're seeing a new conversation emerge in the Austin Metcalf situation. The exposing of the white guilt narrative. Jack Posobiec had a great post on this. I'll bring you that as well. It's 11:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at United Structural Systems, USS. If you've been looking around yesterday and today and you go, hey, wow, my waterproofing issue fixed itself, I have to tell you, you're only lying to yourself. See, these waterproofing issues aren't going away unless you call some experts that are going to come in and create a custom solution for you. That's what USS does, and they've been doing it since 1994. This is how they've gained 30,000 satisfied residential customers. With the rain that we had, the rain that we're going to continue to get, if you don't fix this issue, it's going to lead to bigger problems. Problems like mold. That's not good for your family. Problems like wood rot. That's not good for your foundation. It's time to get these problems fixed and stop ignoring the obvious. If you're having waterproofing issues, call the best. Call USS. They're going to send an expert to your home, not a sales guy who's focused on hitting a quota. They're going to send somebody that's going to create a custom solution for you, and they won't leave until the job is done and you are satisfied. And when they do leave, they leave behind a warranty that is good for life and will stay with the home even if you leave. Call USS today. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. They're online too, USSTN.com.
Trump administration gets another win in the U.S. Supreme Court. I've got that and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. I got a text here from 0095, and he said, "Easy, Tiger. Trump got Amy in." He's obviously responding to my criticism of Amy Coney Barrett as a lousy Supreme Court justice pick. Am I not allowed to criticize Trump? Is that what we're doing? I think that we can all agree. I have been one of the most pro voices for Trump on this radio station since I arrived a year and a half ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we can agree on that. That being said, that gives me all the more leeway to be as critical of bad decisions as I can be. I'm one of his biggest supporters. I also provided evidence for why Amy Coney Barrett is a failed Supreme Court justice pick. I pointed out these decisions where she sides with the liberals time and time again. And what do you need? Like, I'm not allowed to. I can't criticize Trump. I disagree with that. I disagree with it. I think that out of all the people that should be able to criticize Trump, I should be high on the list. And I'm going to lose credibility if I don't. Anybody can look at this situation and see clearly, as clear as day, that Amy Coney Barrett has failed as a conservative justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. We thought we were going to get somebody who we could count on. Do we have that person? No, we most certainly do not. She's just as bad as Roberts, if not worse. So, yes, I think that you do need to be able to criticize Trump when he makes bad decisions, and I will criticize Trump when he makes bad decisions. Amy Coney Barrett was a bad pick. Was there reasoning there to go with her? Sure. And I can understand the reasoning, especially in the aftermath of what the Kavanaugh hearings were. But bro, what do you want me to do? Like just tell you that Trump's farts smell like sweet candy? Like what? That's not reality. The reality is she's an awful pick. So yes, I will criticize. I will. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Just got a news alert from News 2. It says Harpeth Hall School in Green Hills has been placed on lockdown after a bomb threat. And drivers in Nashville, emergency sewer repair has prompted lane closures. The intersection of Bell Road and Smith Springs Road reduced to one lane in each direction through tonight. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. U.S. Supreme Court has cleared the way for the Trump administration to fire probationary federal workers. About 16,000 of them will not be reinstated. Meanwhile, President Trump scheduled to sign another executive order today, this one to revitalize the coal industry. Stocks are up. Wall Street rebounding from yesterday's tariff-driven sell-off. The Dow jumping more than 1,000 points today. Meanwhile, in the U.S. Senate Finance Committee this morning, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer.
Nearly 50 countries have approached me personally to discuss the president's new policy and explore how to achieve reciprocity, and they've spoken with many members of the administration.
More changes coming to Instagram. Users under the age of 16 are going to need parental consent for live streams and some messages. The change is going to roll out first to users in the U.S., Britain, Canada, and Australia, before Meta says they'll roll it out across the globe. Here in Middle Tennessee, did you hear about the robbery suspect who tried to hide from police in a storm drain last week? Happened on Thursday, according to News 2.
There is a man stuck in a drain. He's sticking his hands out like waving, trying to get somebody's attention. Is there water in the drain? Probably. It's probably not like super deep, but there's probably water in there.
His hands sticking up out of the grate, waving to get someone's attention. Well, fire crews arrived. They removed the grate, and 19-year-old Ty Harrington was pulled to safety and taken into custody without incident. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Better Water LLC. I love these guys. If you don't know what's in your water, you should call Better Water LLC. If you haven't tested your water, you should call Better Water LLC. They'll test it for you for free. Because if you find out what could be lurking inside the water that you're drinking, inside the water that you're bathing your kids and grandkids in, that you're bathing in, it could shock you. I mean, there's all sorts of nasty stuff in your water. Iron, chlorine, sulfur, bacteria, E. coli. And if you want to get all of that stuff out of your water, well, you call Better Water LLC. They'll test your water for free, and if you have it, they offer a full range of water treatment equipment. From reverse osmosis units to water softeners to specialized filters to UV lights, they have it all. They're based out of Smyrna. They operate right here in Middle Tennessee, serve the entire area, and these are the same guys that are treating the water at your favorite local coffee shop. These are the same guys and girls that are treating the water at the hospitals you go to. Go to betterwater.com to learn more, or call Craig, call Brandy today and say Chris Hand said that you'll test my water for free, and they'll get you hooked up. 615-355-6063. That's the number for Better Water LLC, 615-355-6063. Thirty-six minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We love those guys. We got another breaking huge win for Trump when it comes to the Supreme Court. Did you see this? I'm going to need you to do some research for me, Mason. I need to find out where everybody landed on this decision.
All right.
The Supreme Court has granted the Trump administration's request for the high court to pause a lower court's ruling that would have required the administration to rehire thousands of federal workers who had been fired. The Supreme Court's docket stated that the application for stay that had been presented to Justice Elena Kagan and referred to the court was granted. The preliminary injunction issued by the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California has been paused as an appeal in the U.S. Courts of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit plays out. So they said that Trump had to rehire thousands of federal workers. They ordered him to do that. And SCOTUS they said, no, you can't do that. Nice. I wonder where Amy Coney Barrett landed on this one. Anybody else? Right? Is that just me?
I'm going to try to find it.
Can you try and find
this
it?
Vote.
Because I'm going to talk about Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony here in a second too. But like this just broke, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Amy. I hope you landed on the right side. While you guys look for that, Brent in Spring Hill wants to talk about Amy Coney Barrett. What's up, Brent?
Hey, Chris. I'm just saying, I don't think Amy's necessarily a liberal. I think she's like Roberts. She thinks the judicial branch should have more power than, in my opinion, the Constitution provides for. So that's why she lands on the wrong side a lot of times, like Roberts. And Trump relied on the Federalist Society, which is sort of like relying on the National Review for your information these days and opinions. And what do you call them? Neocons. It's not really where it is, where it's at any longer.
But do you think Amy Coney Barrett was a mistake?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't want any more people that think the judicial branch should have say over everything. I don't think her say is necessarily the wrong, but her rulings tend to be that the judicial branch should have more power than I think the Constitution provided.
All right, Brent. Hey, I appreciate the call, man. Thanks so much. 615-737-9986. Any luck on finding out who voted which way on that decision?
Not yet. Still reading through. I don't know if Ken's found anything yet.
No, I have not found who voted for it or against it, only that Ketanji Brown Jackson. Let's see here. Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson, two of the court's liberal justices, noted they dissented from the unsigned decision, but there's nothing else about who voted for or who voted against.
Interesting. So I can only assume that Amy Coney Barrett let us down until we know otherwise. Just based on recent events, that's all I'm saying. I can only assume.
Let's see here.
Until new information proves me wrong, I can only assume that Amy Coney Barrett let us down once again.
Now, if she did, you know that the liberal media out there, they're going to be reporting that right off the bat.
Oh, 100%.
So I don't see that yet. Let me check Politico here. They're pretty
left-leaning.
They're pretty left-leaning.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, good grief. They don't even have it up on there.
I mean, this just broke.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Nope. Not seeing it yet.
All right. Well, keep us posted if you see anything, Ken.
I'll do it, Brother Chris.
Back in the newsroom. I appreciate it again. Until we learn new information, we will just assume that Amy Coney Barrett has let us down based on recent events, and we prevailed anyway. I think that's the safest thing to do currently. Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony. This is a story that is, it doesn't seem to be going away. It doesn't seem to be going away. And we now have a statement from the lawyers of Carmelo Anthony. If you haven't been paying attention, you've been on vacation, you're just getting back into the swing of things, there was a track meet in Texas, a high school track meet. What happened at this track meet is nothing short of a tragedy. It never should have happened, and it's heartbreaking. And the media would be far more interested in it if the roles had been reversed. I can guarantee that. You had Austin Metcalf, a 17-year-old white high school student, and Carmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old black high school student. Carmelo Anthony found himself sitting under the wrong tent. At high school track meets, they set up these tents in the stands, like the canopy tents that you'll see out. Nothing crazy. And the teams they'll gather into the tents and they'll wait there for the next race, the next heat, whatever it may be. And one Carmelo Anthony was sitting under the wrong tent. And Austin Metcalf said, "You're not supposed to be here." And at that point, well, the details get get a bit blurry depending on which side you're listening to. The liberals will tell you that Austin Metcalf smacked his phone out of his hand and was belligerent and threw the first punch, and that Carmelo Anthony was just defending himself. The conservative side of the argument says that that's not exactly how it happened. Carmelo Anthony brought a knife to a school, and the moment that things got physical between Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony, Carmelo stabbed Austin in the chest and killed him. And we're learning a lot more. The lawyer for Carmelo Anthony released a statement, and he said, Carmelo and the entire Anthony family are sincerely saddened that a life was lost and offer their condolences to the family of Austin Metcalf. Carmelo, like all citizens of the United States, is entitled to a fair and impartial legal process. We're committed to ensuring that Carmelo's rights are indeed protected throughout each phase of the criminal justice system. This will certainly be a long road ahead, and during this challenging time, we ask for prayers for both families, and we ask for your patience and respect for the legal process as we seek the truth. That's what the statement released says. The law firm that has been hired to represent Carmelo Anthony is Clark and Cole, and they are trying to work with the Collin County District Attorney's Office to reduce the bond that was set for Carmelo Anthony at $1 million. I hope that doesn't happen. He brought a knife to a school and stabbed another student in the chest and left that student to bleed out and die in his twin brother's arms. The compassion and the emotional manipulation being done by the left, miss me with it. I'm not here for it. The minute that you brought a knife onto school property, well, it's already backfired. Like you're already a bridge too far. That has no reason to be there. As a student, you should not be having that there. We don't need to go into why. Everybody understands that. The police report came out, and the police report tells a bit more of the story. Fox News has this. The 17-year-old accused of fatally stabbing a fellow teen at a Texas track meet warned him, "Touch me and see what happens." Now they're going to try and argue self-defense for Carmelo Anthony. Make no mistake about it. That's what they're going to go with. I don't think that's going to fly. You had a knife at a high school. And according to the police report, Austin Metcalf was warned by Carmelo Anthony, "Touch me and see what happens." Now, I don't know what happened from there. Depending on whose side you're listening to, Austin Metcalf got physical with Carmelo Anthony in the first place. Even if that's true, doesn't warrant a stabbing, period. High school boys fight. It sucks. It's part of life. You just hope that it gets broken up quick and everybody can move on and dust themselves off and learn from it. High school fights are a tale as old as time. The difference now is that these things that used to be minor fights when we were kids are escalating at a much, much more rapid pace. And Carmelo Anthony decided to escalate that violence, and he used a weapon, and he stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart, and he killed him. An arrest report obtained by Fox News sheds light on the pre-stabbing clash after Metcalf reportedly told Anthony that he needed to move out of the Memorial team's tent. A witness told Frisco police. The report noted that Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside, and then said, "Touch me and see what happens." That doesn't sound like self-defense to me. Does it sound like self-defense to you? Austin stood up, pushed the male to get him out of the tent. In the next moment, the witness told police that Anthony reached into his bag, took out a knife, and stabbed Austin. Awful. The witness told the officer that Anthony deserted the scene following the stabbing of Metcalf, and Austin then died in his twin brother's arms. Officers noted that the twin brother was hysterical at the scene, and authorities talked to witnesses about the tent confrontation, the arrest report noted. And there's a lot of information here. A school resource officer was first to arrive at the scene and confront Anthony, and he said, "I was protecting myself. He put his hands on me." Anthony was placed in handcuffs at the scene. They noted the blood on his hands. One officer at the scene referred to Anthony as the alleged suspect and said Anthony then made a spontaneous statement and said, "I'm not alleged. I did it." Anthony also asked officers if Metcalf was going to be okay. and asked if what happened could be considered self-defense. I don't think so, pal. I don't. And did you lose your temper and do something that you instantly regretted? Sure. I mean, and if you read this police report, it absolutely lays that out. That being said, this kid should have the book thrown at him. Instantly feeling regret after the fact doesn't change what you did during the fact. And bringing a knife to the school, having your hand in your backpack, which you can only assume he's already gripping the knife, and saying, touch me and see what happens. I think self-defense goes out the window. Completely out the window. Now, that hasn't stopped just a ridiculous amount of support for Carmelo Anthony. And he has raised quite a bit of money on Give, Send, Go. I think the current tally is over $200,000. Over $200,000 has been raised for his legal defense. How can people support this? I'm not sure. Jack Posobiec has a thought, and Jack Posobiec he says people are feeling white guilt, and he posted a lengthy post on X, which is fantastic, and I want to read it to you. He said the Austin Metcalf murder exposes the white guilt narrative's breaking point. The brutal murder of Austin Metcalf, a 17-year-old white student from Frisco Memorial High School, has ignited a firestorm beyond the tragedy itself. On April 2nd, 2025, at a UIL District 11-5A championship track meet in Frisco, Texas, Metcalf was fatally stabbed by another student, identified as black teenager named Anthony, and following a confrontation over a seat in the school's tent. The incident has spiraled into a broader cultural reckoning, with conservatives on platforms like X framing it as a racial crime against white people. The hashtag White Lives Matter has trended in the aftermath, reflecting a growing pushback against what many see as racial double standards and how murders are discussed in America. We made that point many times on this show. Had the roles been reversed, the mainstream media would be all over it. But this case and the reactions to it are straining a long-standing pillar of American discourse, the white guilt narrative. The white guilt narrative is an incredibly powerful cultural fault line in America and has been since the 60s. When I went on Tucker, I talked about how Jeffrey Dahmer readily confessed to murder and cannibalism, but repeatedly insisted in interviews that he didn't want to be labeled a racist. Even a monster like Dahmer, whose victims were predominantly men of color, feared the social stigma of being called a racist more than the admission of his heinous crimes. This speaks to the immense weight of the white guilt narrative, a framework that since the civil rights era, aka America's new founding, has positioned white Americans as perpetual oppressors who must atone for historical sins, often at the expense of their own perspective or experiences. The white guilt narrative, as James Baldwin articulated in his 1965 essay, The White Man's Guilt, is a curtain of guilt and lies, behind which white Americans hide. Unable to confront the realities of their history, Baldwin's critique resonated deeply, shaping decades of discourse around race in America. By the 2010s, this narrative had evolved into a cornerstone of progressive ideology, with concepts like white privilege becoming mainstream. A 2018 study from the American National Election Studies revealed a striking trend. Since 2016, white liberals have rated non-white groups more positively than their own race, a pattern not mirrored by other racial groups, who tend to favor their own. Meanwhile, a 2019 study found that among social liberals, learning about white privilege often reduces sympathy for struggling white individuals, potentially deepening the resentment when cases like Metcalf's are thrust into the spotlight. Enter the murder of Austin Metcalf. According to reports, the confrontation began when Metcalf asked Anthony to move from the school's tent in the stands, escalating into a violent altercation that left Metcalf dead and Anthony charged with murder. The racial dynamics of the case, white victim, black suspect, quickly became a lightning rod. On X, conservatives seized on the incident to argue that white victimhood is overlooked in a society hyper-focused on systemic racism against minorities. The White Lives Matter hashtag, while controversial, reflects a growing sentiment among some that white guilt narrative has oversimplified America's racial landscape, leaving little room for white individuals to be seen as victims without being dismissed. Jeff Metcalf, Austin's father, publicly rejected the racialized narrative and acted fully in accordance with the precepts and the tenets of the narrative, lest he too be labeled a racist. Ultimately, this is a socially conditioned response. You see it everywhere today. The white guilt narrative has created a cultural hierarchy of moral culpability, where even a serial killer like Jeffrey Dahmer felt the need to distance himself from the label of racist while confessing to far worse. Dahmer's victims, mostly men of color, a fact that has long raised questions about racial bias in his actions and the police failures to stop him sooner. Yet his insistence on not being racist underscores how deeply the fear of that label has permeated the American consciousness, even among the most depraved. The Metcalf case challenges this narrative by flipping the script. For those who feel the white guilt narrative has gone too far, Austin's tragic death is a rallying cry, a terrible example of how white victims can be overlooked when the dominant lens of racial discourse prioritizes historical atonement over present-day realities. The tension is palpable. If white Americans are perpetually cast as oppressors, where does that leave a grieving white family in Frisco, Texas? What the Austin Metcalf murder reveals is a growing fracture in America's racial discourse. The white guilt narrative, once a so-called tool for confronting historical injustices, is now under scrutiny from those who feel it oversimplifies complex social dynamics. It's a narrative that struggles to account for cases where the roles of victim and perpetrator don't align with its assumptions. The white guilt narrative may have finally reached its breaking point. That was from Jack Posobiec on X. Absolutely fantastic. And we'll be keeping you updated on this Austin Metcalf case as more information becomes available. It's 11:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. I tell you about Shane Ring all the time. Do you need health insurance? Are you paying too much for health insurance? If you answered yes to either of those questions, call Shane. And let's make some things happen for you. See, Shane's going to shop the entire health insurance market for you, and he has over 20 years of experience doing it. And when I say the entire market, I mean it. He has over 75 different companies to shop from and every type of plan available, and he can help you no matter what your income level or health situation currently is. Don't let yourself or someone you know get taken advantage of by call center agents in the limited, overpriced health coverage. Shane can easily be saving you 30 to 60% on your monthly premiums. And some of these plans Shane can get you on will even pay you when you use them. It's not too good to be true. Shane will break it all down for you in a way that you can understand. Give him a call today. Tell him that Chris Hanch sent you, and he will show you how much you could be saving. 615-465-0023 is the number to call Shane, or you can go to covernash.com. I'm a phone call guy, 615-465-0023. Call that number today to book an appointment with Shane Ring. Get a quality health plan managed by you, not the government. CoverNash.com. 11:58, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Better Water LLC provides the show. We love those
gay
guys.
frogs everywhere. Guess what? For Christmas, I'm getting everybody gay frogs. They're going to be like Liberace frogs dancing around.
There's going to be a lot less of them, thanks to BetterWater.com.
And fluoride. Get the fluoride out of the water. Put it back in your toothpaste where it belongs.
Get the fluoride out. Are you pro fluoride?
I didn't even know. You know what? My wife, we have so many things our water goes through before it ever gets to us. I don't even know what it is at some point in time. It's like 12 different filters. Even if it was something good, it's probably taken out.
It's going through the charcoal and the coconut.
Exactly.
I love it. You mentioned something right before we got on air that made my ears perk up. The Hells Angels have a TikTok.
They do. I was sitting there today. I had to restart my computer.
I didn't know that they
go,
were letting in 15-year-old girls.
So I look, and the first I see this guy, and his face is tatted and everything, and I'm like, that looks like a Hells Angels. It's a 1%er. And they're like, we're going to go over here. We're going to get a drink. We're going to have fun. You know how much this drink's going to cost? It's like 50 pounds. No, it's 2,000 pounds for a shot. And they go in there. But then they're talking about, like we're doing this run, we're doing this. But it's Hells Angels. It's not a toy drive.
But they're British Hells Angels?
They have the Dutch. There's a lot of the motors, like in the Scandinavian countries, there's a lot of motorcycle gangs.
Okay.
But they had the British, they had the German, they had the Americans, the Canadians.
Am I wrong for thinking that a British accent immediately makes you less scary as a gang member?
You know what? It depends on where it's from. You mean, if you're from over there and you talk like this, you know what I mean, mate? It's a bit different, But if you talk like this, hello there, you're all right. It's like, I've always said this. You get somebody from the South, they talk like this. They may be the smartest person in the world, but you automatically think, oh, is that guy weird or something? Oh, British guy could talk like this. You think that guy's brilliant. He may be an idiot.
That's fair.
Right?
Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock.